Hi, it's Tony Ozanne here, and today I'm talking to Tim Hyde. Tim's from theRightAct.com, which is Canberra's leading news and online opinion site. How are you today, Tim?
Well, thanks, Tony. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Look, the reason for talking to you today, Tim, is I want to get a bit of an insight into the whole social media space. Now, I realise the Right Act is, it's an online space and it's a part of socially engaging. So, first of all, just tell us a bit more about what the Right Act is.
Well, Right Act is an interesting thing. I guess it's a blend between online newspaper and social media forum.
Right.
And what we do is work with particularly our advertising partners to increase their profits through a combination of social media strategies and sort of, I guess, traditional banner advertising.
Right. Okay. And what's the difference between, I guess, advertising with the Right Act online using banners and things like that compared to advertising on the traditional, print media?
Print media. I guess the key difference, and I always say to clients, look at who the audience of that particular publication is, right? So in terms of that strategy, Right Act's got a very large segment of sort of 20 to sort of 45-year-old white collar professionals, and you need to understand who the audience is that publication is reaching in any publication, whether it be print, online at all. Key difference between online and some of the traditional media channels like print, radio and TV is that, I guess, more and more people are now moving online to consume information.
Okay.
It's pretty hard to find someone who doesn't have a smartphone and just go to find something. And even when you're sort of sitting in front of your TV, you've got a tablet, and the prevalence of those devices is becoming increasingly sort of widespread in society.
Sure.
And that's making it very easy for people to access information online, whereas previously they wouldn't have done so.
Yeah.
The other key difference is that online is measurable.
Yeah.
You can't say how much reach you've got. You don't know exactly how many people listen to a radio at any particular time. You can guesstimate based on sort of surveys, but online's very different in that if someone doesn't click on it or open it up or read it, and you record those statistics, it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Right, so that's the key difference, and you can do a lot of sort of split testing, measuring to say, if I say X, how many people read it? If I say Y, how many people look at it?
Right,
and you can test the two and use that information to sort of inform your future marketing campaigns.
All right, cool. Look, I guess the main topic I want to talk about was social media, and look, talking to business owners and everything like that, I find that there's just so much either misinformation or fear factor or whatever it may be out there about social media and whether I should use that for my business. So I just want to sort of talk a few questions about that. So what is social media in your perspective?
Look, I to put it in really lay terms, I liken social media to like a barbecue with your friends on the weekend.
Okay.
Right? It's a conversation, between people that you know or know of, about pretty much any topic you like.
Sure.
Right? What we've done, again, with that sort of prevalence of sort of technology, is that we're now translating this very same conversations to an online forum.
Right.
And you're starting to trust.
It's become bigger as well.
Your backyard barbecue with 3 or 4 friends is now 3,000 or 4,000 friends.
Sure.
And it makes it very easy to share that conversation ongoing.
Right.
And that's why what that social media sort of thing is.
Okay.
It's really just a term to say, hey, you're just talking to a bunch of people I don't know.
Yeah.
I think from a sociology perspective, the interesting thing is that we're now starting to trust opinions of people without never having met them face to face.
Yeah.
Right? Based on the quality of the advice or the quality of the reasoning of the arguments that those individuals might put forward.
Okay. Yeah, it's certainly a growing sort of trend, I suppose. It's no longer a trend anymore. It's here to stay, I'd say. But,
well, that's right. You look at media consumption, online media consumption now over 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
Radio, you get in your car, unless you're on a job site somewhere.
They're all declining.
They're all declining. You sort of an hour and a half sort of thing.
So I suppose social media is really the new traditional channel, isn't it?
Well, it is, yes. Very much so.
It's no longer a new trend or anything like that. I'm a business owner. Should I engage in social media?
I think so. I think you've got to look at it in terms of your overall marketing strategy.
Right.
If you do, it's like anything. If you create a brochure and you put it out and you never actually look at your brochure again, it's not going to work for you. Sure. Social media is pretty much the same. It's just another marketing channel in a way to have a conversation with your clients.
Okay.
Right? I think where people get tripped up is they think it's very set and forget.
Yeah.
It's like having a conversation like this. If I was to say something to you and we have 5 minutes of dead air while I wait for you to respond,
it's great viewing.
Fantastic viewing. But there's a frustration from me that I'm not hearing back from you.
Yes.
Right? So we have this speed of communication, through technology that social media is leveraging, that means I have to have a more dynamic conversation with my clients.
But that in itself creates a challenge for business owners because, you know, with the pressures on time and the expectation from people to engage and respond quickly.
It does, and that's why I always suggest focusing. Again, come back to where is your client, what media that is your client engaging with, have a conversation with them there.
Sure.
And you and I have spoken about a client of yours previously who was on Facebook and getting no traction.
Yeah.
And we suggested don't go on Facebook, get on LinkedIn because you're a business-to-business client.
Yeah.
Your client is in that space, and immediately they found a much better response.
Yeah. So it's not about you know, just okay, everyone's on Facebook. So
Well, I think the mistake that a lot of people make as soon as they get into Facebook, if you're into social media in general, it's not just Google Plus, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Right, there's thousands and thousands of different channels. Pinterest is another one. It's understanding what audience is using that media, and it's easy to find when you just do a Google search and say who is using Pinterest. You know, you can get some information and then working out which strategy is best to engage in that particular channel. Okay,
and Tim, how does the social media strategy sort of have to fit in with your overall marketing sort of / brand positioning?
It's very much about getting trust. If your customers trust you more, they're more likely to buy from you, and they're more likely to buy from you more often.
Sure.
Right? So social media shouldn't necessarily be used as a channel to sell.
Right.
Right. It should very much be used to talk about your brand, talk about what you're doing.
Yep.
You create interesting stories that your customers are going to want to engage with.
Okay.
Right? Make them feel valued by having a conversation with them. Make them feel like individuals through that channel, and then they're more likely to trust you. If they're more likely to trust, they're more likely to buy.
Okay. But I guess, you know, that sort of comment on not selling through that, I guess there are some businesses that are specifically targeted to sell on social media, like your Instagram for Pinterest sort of type things where you're selling images or...
Again, depends on the
business.
type of thing. You know, you've got... I think it's much easier for business to consumer type businesses to sell through those channels. But again, if you try and sell too early, you don't have trust.
Sure.
It's going to turn your customer off.
Do you see social media as being a potential trap for businesses as far as a time drain where they can get in there and spend hours and hours and hours but achieve nothing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a trap a lot of people make. You know, in our experience, businesses who get into social media, we hear this, you know, through our media advisors all the time. They've said, oh, you know, I went into this and I got burnt.
Yes.
Right? You see, you know, it's not just small companies, it's really big companies.
There was one just recently, a restaurant that got on there and had a bit of a Facebook tirade.
But you've got to consider that's not just this one-to-one conversation. There's a lot of people watching. The same as the barbecue, you know, where you had 2 or 3 mates watching a conversation between you and somebody else, and there's a bunch of people listening. This is that on a much bigger scale. So people are watching how you respond to things and how you engage, and they're making up a judgment according to that. So there is a trap that you can spend a lot of time doing it, but you know, don't feel you need to do, you know, lots and lots and lots.
Sure.
You don't need to be in every single channel. That's a mistake people make. Going into it sort of half-baked is not going to work for you either. But going into it too much, you know, you're going to find out you actually
your
business is social media and not actually the business.
And I think that's one thing people sort of do quite often. They sort of spend so much time on the social media without having that strategy. So I guess on that note, what would you suggest to someone in regards to actually developing that strategy? Where do I start? How do I...
Look, I think there's some fantastic advice on the internet. There's lots of stuff out there now about social media, where to start, what strategies to try and do. And you know, if you want to spend a bit of time doing that research yourself, absolutely go and find it. The sad thing is that, you know, social media experts, you know, you can hang a shingle on your door and be a social media expert. It hasn't been around a lot. So go into with a bit of caution, get some advice from a couple of people. You know, engage a good marketing company for advice, and there are a few of those around in Canberra as well. That you can say, hey, look, I need a social media strategy. I think I need a social media strategy. Is this where I should go? And they can certainly help you out. Good business coach can certainly give you advice. And then something that we do at Hyde as well, we say, look, that's what your overall strategy. So obviously we're going to come up from angle, you know, where can we work with it as well. But we try and fit it into an overall campaign. You know, you can't talk about one thing in your social media campaigns, you know, put a different message out through your print, because again, your customers are going to see these 2 different things and go, what do you actually do?
Absolutely. Well, I guess the right act is a form of social media, isn't it? Because you're actually having that backyard barbecue discussion with the whole of Canberra. That's right. And the whole of Canberra's watching that discussion to sort of see how you respond to different things.
And we had a really good example several years ago where, you know, a reader posted an article about a business that had a negative experience.
Right.
And that person called up and said, take it down. And I thought, well, before we do, let's actually look at this from a PR perspective. Respond with your point of view, your perspective on this situation. And that actually turned that whole situation around. They actually won business from that because they actually seemed to be quite reasonable. And the original commenter, the original person who came in, actually responded in kind and saying, I didn't understand.
Oh, okay.
So
it definitely shows the power of social media and I guess the power of what you guys do on the Right Act.
Yeah, burying your head in the sand and pretending it's not it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Right? There is a conversation about you whether you like it or not, and particularly as your business grows and you deal with more people, there will be a conversation about you, whether you like it or not, and you can get in and try and influence it. Don't try and control it.
And do you think that's a fear with people as far as getting into social media, or advertising on a social media platform or something like that?
Yeah, I think it is. It's the confrontation of having that sort of peer discussion with your customer that was never really available before.
Sure. Okay. All right, look, you give me some great tips for potential people who have some idea or no idea on social media. So thanks very much for that, Tim. And it's been great chatting to you.
Cheers.
Thanks.